Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good evening to everyone. Uh, Thank you for joining our webinar tonight, where we are going to be discussing about whether our country is complicit or not in the genocide if we are doing business with companies that are supplying weapons to Israel. As we all know, the genocide in Gaza has now ended, inshallah, and we hope it will be a permanent one so that the people of Gaza can rebuild their life again. However, the injustice on the Palestinians is still being committed by the Zionist regime. As we know, the regime is still killing people, occupying more than half of Gaza's territory now, and we are not sure when they are going to be withdrawing. And based on past history, they don't withdraw from lands that they occupy. They are, as I said just now, they are still being killed, shot for very flimsy reasons. And we all know that almost 10,000 Palestinians are still being held in Israeli prisons. In the West Bank, their lands are still being occupied, and Israel is still building illegal settlements, and houses are also still being demolished. And coming back to Gaza, many organizations, human rights organizations, UN Commission on Human Rights, UN Rapporteur on Human Rights in OPT, Amnesty International, B'Tselem, International Association of Genocide Scholars, all have said that Israel committed a genocide in Gaza. And the Rapporteur, Francesca Albanese, in her report, which was issued a couple of months ago, also in the latest report issued yesterday, said that the reason Israel was able to continue to commit the genocide was because of the support given by countries and companies. In the case of companies, more than 50 companies, ranging from Amazon Web Services, Microsoft, which provide cloud services to cloud and IT services to the Israeli government and military. And we also have companies like Lockheed Martin, Boeing, and Caterpillar, which supply weapons, bombs, and bulldozers to the Israeli military to enable Israel to commit the genocidal crime in Gaza. So all these companies, according to Francesca Albanese, are complicit without any doubt. So the question is, if that's the case, what about countries that are doing business with these complicit companies? Are the countries also complicit? And to discuss this question, we have three esteemed panels with us tonight. They are Professor Saul Takahashi, who is a professor of human rights at NYU, New York University at Abu Dhabi. Mr. Tian Chua, former MP, former member of parliament, and former vice president of PKR, the main party in the ruling coalition now. And Mr. Walter Piso, an Italian political activist currently based in Malaysia. So I'm going to start with Professor Saul Takahashi first. Professor Takahashi, I call you Saul, right? Saul.
Yeah, just call me Saul, Habibi. What are you talking about?
Call you Saul.
Yes.
Saul, can you
Yes.
please explain the international legal aspect of the issue? Are the complicit companies breaking international law, and can their management be prosecuted at the International Criminal Court? And please elaborate on that. Go ahead, floor is yours. So,
Yes, sure. Thank you. Are the companies that are providing support to Israel, are they complicit in the genocide and in the ongoing apartheid regime that Israel has? Yeah, of course they are. And that gives rise to, a whole slew of bad implications for them that they would not want to be, that they would not want to have. Are they liable in a criminal way? Could be the senior management or the board be liable in a criminal way? I mean, for sure, it's possible. That kind of thing has never happened in terms of sort of international criminal law, but it's certainly something which is certainly feasible. But really, I mean, getting back to the other element of your question about states, all states have the obligation to prevent genocide. All states have clear obligations, to work towards international humanitarian law, so the laws of war being implemented properly. All states have the obligation to, try to prevent and stop massive crimes against humanity. This is very clear. And for sure, that includes, as the International Court of Justice has said, and also as the UN General Assembly has said, that includes not providing support to other countries or corporations that are making the Israeli apartheid regime possible. So, this has to be done. There are these multiple layers of international law and multiple norms of standards of international law, but basically they all point to the same thing. States and corporations should not be complicit, and they could be held liable for sure for remaining complicit in these massive human rights violations.
All right. I read recently that somebody is charging the Prime Minister of Italy over this case of genocide. Is that true? And is it going to stick or not? Do you think, Saul?
Well, I actually don't know. I'm actually not so familiar with that particular case. I think we have a very esteemed panelist from Italy who I think will be able to sort of
All
answer
right.
that more. But for sure, I mean, look, Biden, Trump, despite the fact that he seems to have forced the ceasefire agreement down the throat of Netanyahu and his right-wing cronies in Israel, and all the other Western leaders that until very, very recently were providing nonstop, unabashed, complete and absolute support for Israel, yeah, they are criminally liable for sure. And they also have to be held to account. It's not just the leaders of Israel. Obviously, first and foremost, the political and military leaders of Israel and the people who actually perpetrated all these terrible crimes. So way down to the lowest private conscript. But it's not just them. It's also, particularly the Western nations that made this possible and that provided support, enabling Israel to to continue on with this genocide. Really, in particular with the US, it's more than just being complicit. I mean, they're partners. They're criminal partners in genocide. That's really what it is.
Yeah, okay. So in that case, I was talking to a human rights lawyer recently. He said that we should initiate a legal process in Malaysia now to try to arrest Trump if he lands in Kuala Lumpur on Sunday. So theoretically, as you said just now,
Inshallah, that would be quite an amazing day, and I certainly hope that it happens, inshallah.
okay. Thank you, Saul. Okay, the next panelist I'm going to ask is Tian Chua.
Yeah.
Tian Chua.
Yes.
Malaysia claims that it is among the most vocal supporter of Palestinian human rights. And the Prime Minister said that that's the reason why he wasn't invited to Sharm el-Sheikh recently to the peace deal signing ceremony. Now, if these companies are complicit and can be accused of breaking international law, why is Malaysia still doing business with these very complicit companies that are supplying weapons that enable Israel to commit genocide in Gaza?
Okay, first of all, I can't speak on behalf of the government, and I think the question of why I'm not in the position to answer why the government is doing that. But I can only say there's a few guesses that we can make that why all these things are happening, because we are living in an international order which basically dominated by a small clique of people, the US economic elites, the financial conglomerates, and very much, if you see their what is it called? Their business interests, they are interconnected. The super bank in the United States and the Western country is funding the weapon manufacturing. The arm manufacturings are creating situation that many of the country in the global south are highly dependent on this entire system. And to some extent, I would say majority of the problems that we see with the interstate conflicts, the regional crises are very much generated by this small group of people in the interest of their own private profits. And this is something that I think Malaysia and many of the country in the global south, I can sympathize with their situation where they are facing this economic bully and domination. But at the same time, it's time for us to look carefully and to be supportive of a liberation struggle has to go beyond vocal. What it is we have to look into the material connection where it is very clear that those people who manufacture weapon or providing financial supply to those complicit company, their whole purpose is to make more money. If we continue to trade with them and continue to invest in them or allow them to invest, so-called invest in us, basically we are enhancing their profitability. We're also enhancing their capability to manufacture more weapons and to give more financial support to the warmongers. And I think this is where I think many of the country has to start looking carefully beyond our rhetorical support. We must hit hard on the important parts where this is in the material and the economic interests. And this is, I would like to stress also, this is not simply for the ethical or for the altruistic reason for the Palestine. I think all of us in the global south are suffering the same fate like the oppressed people, the oppressed nation like Palestine. It's just a different degree. So the whole reason for us to pursue a new type of economic relation, free ourselves and independent ourselves from this complicit company, in the long run, it will create a more sustainable South-to-South economic cooperation that will make us less dependent on this global warmongering complicit elite. So I would hope that Malaysian government will pursue that path and go beyond the rhetorical support for the Palestinian and actually to look into how do we hit hard at this financial institution and also the weapon supply institution that basically they are the murdering machine.
Okay, thank you. Tian Chua. Now, Malaysia is just a follow-up question. Malaysia is a member of the Hague Group,
Yes.
HAGUE Group, which declares that it wants to pursue arms embargo on Israel, right?
Yes.
So in other words, we want to stop companies from supplying weapons to Israel. So I would expect Malaysia to be more serious because we are part of the Hague Group when it comes to arms, right?
I think this is something that's government in the Hague groups and also government that claim to be supportive of Palestine must look also internally and creating a more robust auditing system to ensure that our taxpayer money and also the government resources do not flow into the hand of those people who are complicit. And I will also think that sometime government tend to say, yes, we are willing to support Palestine to the extent that doesn't hurt our own economy. So this one, I think it sounds logical because every government want to take care of the welfare of their own people. But the thing is, we have to understand, in reality, we are not taking care of our own people. And in fact, by being complicit and continue to do business with those companies, it harm us. It harm us not only in terms of our image. It harm us not only make us lose credibility as a country that consistent in both deed and speech, but it harm us because we tie ourselves even more deeper into this group of people who allow our economy and allow our domestic market to be controlled by this group of financial as well as this group of weapon supplier. And that's why I think it's quite important for us in the South and maybe in some of the other slightly more industrially advanced country to start to seek alternative model of economy and break away from this cycle of cycle of what Francisco Albanese described, the economy of genocide. The economy of genocide is not just towards people in Palestine. And sometimes people say, why you only raise Palestine? No, it's not. We are hitting this group of weapon supplier. They are in Sudan. They are the one who create problem in Iraq. They are the one who create problem in Syria. They are the one who supply weapon to Afghan. They was now trying to create problem between India and Pakistan. It's the same group of people. If you should link your line long enough, ultimately this small group of people are the one who do that. So actually we are being consistent by saying that we have to break this economy of genocide.
Okay, thank you, Tian Chua. The next speaker for our winner is Walter. He's from Italy. I want to ask you, Walter, could you explain why the contract between the Malaysian government and the Italian company Leonardo, which is a weapon supplier, is so problematic? And please explain how exactly Leonardo is connected to Israel's military operations in Gaza. Go ahead.
Yes, sure. First of all, good evening to everyone. So for the benefits of those that are following our webinar, just let me briefly explain what Leonardo is. Leonardo is an Italian company specialized in arms and arms-related production. It is ranked 13 worldwide, which makes it one of the major industrial players in the global arms market. It is controlled by the Italian government for about 30%. And that means that most of the strategic direction are tightly connected with the government policy, with a government which presently is strongly pro-Zionist, pro-Israel, and pro-Netanyahu, and particularly in its higher offices, including Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs. So Leonardo represents Italy and the Italian policy when we talk about defense, and whatever decision on export licenses, partnership, R&D projects are directly influenced by the Italian foreign and defense ministries. Therefore, for example, Leonardo deals with countries such as Israel or Saudi Arabia are not private business, but they represent the official Italian foreign policies and that they endorse and facilitate this kind of deals. So Leonardo has a long history of cooperation with Israel, which became its presence in Israel became more deeper after the acquisition in July 2022 of the Israeli company Rada Electronics Industries, which is specialized in short-range defense and anti-drone radars. And but even before Leonardo was connected with the military apparatus of the military complex of Israel, and with many other projects. A few that we can mention is, for example, a collaboration together, AAI, Helbit. They transform the Caterpillar's D9, the bulldozer, into an automated remote control weapon that's been used since 2000 in all military operations, particularly in Gaza. And after October 2023, this Caterpillar has been documented for mass demolition of homes, mosques, and whatever, hospitals, life support infrastructure, and the killing of Palestinians by crashing. Another meaningful cooperation with the Israeli army was the distribution and of Otto Melara, which now was already a company controlled by Leonardo, and now became integrated, merged inside Leonardo, of their naval cannons. They have been called the smart cannons because they are shooting at a rate almost like a rifle. And this cannon has been mounted on Israeli warships, and they've been used to bombard the Gaza coastline, its port, and also the civilian infrastructures all around. So this is how Leonardo is tied with the Israeli government and the Israeli military apparatus. Not only Leonardo officially continued to export armament material to Israel, even after the start of the military offensive on the Gaza Strip. And we also can say for how long they did that, because Leonardo itself stated that for the years 2024, a total value of approximately 7 million euros was expected for logistical support activities and for the M346 training aircraft fleet and dual-use material. What is dual use? It's kind of tricky terms to get around the international law. Practically, there are products that can be used both for the civilian and for the military purposes. For example, a surveillance drone equipped with cameras and sensor is classified as dual use because can be used to monitor borders or for land maintenance, prevention of natural disasters, or it can also use for military, for the military targeting operation. And in Gaza, particularly those including the one against civilians, like the small girl Hind Rajab that's been hit by missiles inside the car. missiles guided by drones. And also lately, a family of 11, a few days ago, a family of 11 with 6 kids traveling on, going back their homes, traveling on a van, and they've been killed by missiles, Israeli missiles, also guided by drones.
And Leonardo is involved in that supply of that drone.
Sorry, yes, they if they're involved in producing parts and also software for this kind of drones.
Yeah.
And as I say, they are, when they say we are sending to Israel some dual use products, it means that they're sending products that can be possibly used as for a civilian purpose, but mostly used,
For
particularly
military.
when we talk about Israel, mostly used as military purpose.
Okay.
And
So yeah.
another thing that is quite unsettling is that most of these kind of weapons, they are then display in these defense fair or exhibitions with the label of combat tested. And combat tested, it means that they've been tested on field and they result efficient. In the case of Gaza and the Israeli army, this combat test most of the time means that they use against civilians in the genocide
Palestine.
campaign that they had. So this is that
Okay.
that makes Leonardo
A very
not
complicit
just
company.
one company,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
it makes a company, it makes Leonardo into a company that really has supported in different stages this genocidal campaign.
Okay. My question is Leonardo one of the arms supplier to the Malaysian military or Malaysian government? Do you know, you have any information about Leonardo's business relation with in Malaysia?
Oh, okay. This is something that has been published in two platform. One is Jane's, and the other one is Overt Defense, that are quite specialized in defense and arm deals. And they reported that the Malaysian government signed a new contract with Leonardo for the lease up to 28 helicopters, which is estimated to be worth 16.5 billion ringgit Malaysia, which is approximately 3.5 billion US dollar. It is a 15-year lease agreement, which includes the supply of helicopters, insurance, maintenance, spare parts, training, and other services. So
Okay.
this is what these two publications they have reported. But Leonardo is an active presence here in Malaysia. They had business even before with the Malaysian government, and so they have an history of business with the Malaysian government.
Okay, so thank you for the revelation. So hopefully the Malaysian government will be more sensitive, because obviously Leonardo is very complicit with the genocidal crimes committed by Israel in Gaza.
If I may, I just had these small particulars, small information, further information to give you the idea. In Italy, more than 50 Italian lawyers academics and politicians have filed a complaint at the International Criminal Court to indict the CEO of Leonardo, Roberto Cingolani, for complicity in genocide, along with the Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni, the Deputy Prime Minister, Matteo Salvini, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Tajani. So that
Okay.
is
All right. So thank you. So in a way, so if the CEO of Leonardo is convicted as a war criminal, he shouldn't be welcome to Malaysia. Malaysia should treat him as a war criminal and shouldn't do business with people like him, right? Thank you, Walter. I'll come back to you afterward. I want to go back to Saul. I was informed that the Japanese government was thinking of purchasing Israeli drones, even though many Japanese are opposed to the deal.
Mhm.
So why is Japan so keen on doing business with Israel, despite the global outrage against the Israeli crime of genocide in Gaza? Can you please share with us this strange relationship between Japan and Israel? So,
Well, yes, no, thank you. I mean, that's exactly the point. Why is it that we are even discussing this in the midst of a genocide? So what happened was basically last year, 2024, I think it was around March, the opposition sort of got hold of this information that the government was looking to buy a new drone. And amongst, I believe 7 sort of shortlisted drones, there were 4 maybe that were made by Israeli weapons companies. And so this was last March, and there was a huge outcry. And basically the government, I mean, it's hard to tell what's been happening, but basically it seems to me that they've frozen the process. So nothing's happened. What's clear is that they have not proceeded to buy the Israeli drones. It doesn't seem like they've bought any other drones. It seems like everything's just been frozen. I believe it was because of the outcry and they were hoping everything would just go away, but it didn't just go away. Now, what's happened, of course, I think many you might be aware, and many of our viewers might also be aware, is that now we have a new prime minister. I really don't think she's going to last too long. I don't think she has much of anything in terms of ideas, policies, or any kind of intelligent thing to say. But one of pretty much the only platform she has is to push forward with increasing the military budget, trying to do weapons deals with other countries. This is a very sort of underdeveloped area of Japan. Japan really doesn't do this kind of thing. Japan's very new at this game. So, that's bad news. Whether that will have implications for this Israeli drone issue, I don't know. We have to see. But it's bad news on a number of fronts. The new prime minister is basically one of the proteges of Abe, who was, of course, an extreme right-wing nationalist. And this gets to the second thing that you were asking about what is this sort of Japan's relationship with Israel and how has this developed over the years. In actual fact, we do have relations with Israel. I mean, we have an embassy and we have, people go back and forth. But Japan had always tried to forge I would say, a neutral path between not straying too far from the American line, let the Americans get upset, but at the same time making sure that we maintain good relations with the Arab countries and also Iran. A lot of this has to do with our lack of any kind of energy resources and our need, our dependence on the countries of that region for oil and other natural resources. So that was for a long time. We were Japan was a very quiet country. I mean, we donate a lot, and we still donate a lot to the PA and to UNRWA. We're one of the big donors, and Japan still does that kind of stuff, but it never tried to be any kind of a major player in the Middle East. Now this changed quite dramatically, suddenly and dramatically in during the government of Abe, Shinzo Abe, who, like I said, was a very extreme right-wing nationalist. He dreamed of remilitarizing the country and, tossing the pacifist constitution into the toilet, and he did all sorts of various kind of terrible, terrible, terrible stuff. He was a fascist, and one of the things that he did was all of a sudden he changed course again very dramatically and tried and strengthened relations with Israel. He went on a visit to Israel, very, very ill-advised, pictures, press conferences with Netanyahu shaking hands and him giving a speech in front of Israeli flags. This was a very bad idea, and it was really dumb. But one of the things that, besides, at the country level, strengthening relations, is he strong-armed corporate Japan into entering agreements with Israeli companies. This was one of his big things. And at the time, I was actually working on business and human rights. That was my job. And I got frequent calls from very big brand name companies in Japan saying, "Look, Saul, we're kind of in a jam. We're being pushed by the government to do any kind of deal with Israel. They don't really care what, just like anything, not even like weapons, but just anything. But at the same time, we're very aware of the reputational risk." And so they were asking me if I could direct them to a clean Israeli company that didn't have anything to do with the colonial enterprise. And I said, "Well, you're out of luck because there aren't any." So that was sort of the end of that. But I'm not really sure what happened exactly to each one of those companies. But certainly there have been a lot more deals cut with the Israelis since then. So that's all bad news. Now, that having been said, there are also prominent examples of companies doing the right thing. I'm thinking in particular of Itochu, which is, again, a household name in Japan. Every Japanese knows Itochu. It's one of the major trading companies, one of the big power horses of Japanese capitalism. And they had entered, this was a while back, they had entered into an agreement with Elbit, not to purchase or provide weapons as such. It was something a little bit more innocuous. I think it was bulletproof vests or that kind of thing, but it was still not great. And there were demonstrations in front of Itochu, quite small scale for a while. Then, of course, October 2023 rolls along, and then all of a sudden it's like a big deal. And demonstrations in front of Itochu and all this. And of course, Itochu is the owner, you'll probably be aware of this, they own Family Mart, which I believe it's Family Mart. Maybe it's 7-Eleven. I'm pretty sure it's Family Mart.
Yeah,
And
it's Family Mart, yeah.
It's Family Mart. And so because of Itochu's coziness with Elbit, they were subject to major league boycotts in Malaysia, Indonesia, a number of other countries, and they were really being hurt. So what happened in February 2024, after the ICJ issued its first ruling on provisional orders, Itochu announced that they were dumping Elbit, that they were terminating the agreement with Elbit, and they didn't have anything to do with them. Again, there was a bottom line aspect to this, of course. They did say explicitly that this was because of the ICJ order and that they did not want to be held complicit and the like. Like I said, there was a bottom line thing to this, but at the same time, they didn't have to announce this. They went out of their way to announce this. And the other thing is that it being a weapons-related deal, there's no way they would have done this without at least tacit approval from the government. The government denies this. They said they didn't have anything to do with it, but it doesn't hold water. So, there is this hesitance to move forward too strongly with this. There's a lot of popular pressure on this within the country. Inshallah, it will continue to be so even after the ceasefire deal. And they are, they're very mindful that the Americans they have been completely isolated on this. And so I don't know. We have to see. We have to see what's going to happen. I'm not happy about the new prime minister, but maybe maybe she'll listen to advice from the right people in the foreign ministry and others, and she will not move forward with this. I very much hope so.
Okay, inshallah. Thank you. Well, there's another Japanese company which is Complicit, supplying robots, I think, to the Israeli manufacturers of weapons for Israel.
Fanuc. There are a number. Fanuc is sort of the big one that has been targeted by the BDS movement in Japan. Of course, I think they're providing robotic parts
Parts, yeah.
which weapons companies in Israel use. One final thing, actually, it just occurred to me that I did want to sort of throw in out there, is that obviously this kind of direct sales of weapons or buying weapons, or this kind of direct complicity and partnership with Israeli weapons companies is completely unacceptable, obviously. But one of the things about the weapons industry, as far as I understand, is that, it's very common for countries to buy weapons and then just, sell them off to another country. And we have actually seen that. Like, I believe it was 2014, some Israeli missiles that had landed in Gaza, there were a couple that didn't explode. And so, the Palestinians were opening them. And lo and behold, it was made in the US, of course, but out came a Sony component. It had Sony printed on it, and Sony US is a very big supplier of advanced software and computerized kind of stuff to the American military. And the American military, of course, that means they give stuff to the Israelis. So it's all. I mean, I think this ties in with what Tian Chua, what you were saying. We have to be very mindful. This is not just about direct sales to Israel. It's a whole system here, that we really need to point to, and we need to bring down, I think.
All right, thank you, Saul, for sharing this story just now. I want to go to Tian Chua now.
Yeah.
What will it take to convince the Malaysian government not to do business with all these complicit companies? Just now, Walter mentioned Leonardo, right? Very complicit, that having strong business relationship with the Malaysian government. And we have Boeing with Amazon Web Services, Caterpillar still having very strong relationship with Sundarbi, which is part of PNB. We have been doing protests in front of the PNB headquarters 5 times already. Still, they refuse to end their collaboration with Caterpillar.
Yeah.
So, what's your opinion? What would it take to convince the Malaysian government you can't continue like this, because these are very, very complicit companies?
I think it is very clear that there is a group of elites. They keep cloning themselves, and then they clone it in different country, and they repeat the same mantra that you can't go against us. We are the financial powerhouse, and whoever do not follow us, you are going to be doomed. Your economy is going to be destroyed, and all these things. At time they could do that, but at the same time, I think we are talking about almost 70 years in the era of post-colonialism, and we celebrated the non-aligned movement, the beginning of Bandung 70 years ago. And I think today, the Global South should be much more mindful that we are, in fact, in a much more slightly stronger bargaining situation compared to the ex-colonial power like Western Europe or America. I think this is what part of it, that we need to convince our ruling elites that there should be more confidence and less, what's it called? Less
subservient.
Less submissive to
subservient.
those very subservient to them. And of course, I can't say very much because they come from the same mode of education. They went to the same business conference, and they repeat the same thing. But I think ultimately, I still put the trust onto the people. Public education, we have to bring out the masses, demonstration. These are all sounds traditional, but then I think it works. And even look at Trump, right? He totally supportive of Israel unconditionally, and coming up with crazy idea like we will evict 2 million people from Gaza to make his holiday villa, until at the end he pushed Netanyahu to have some maybe mentally some half-hearted ceasefire. But I don't want to estimate the relief that for those people who are suffering in Gaza. So I mean, although I could be very critical, and I'm also thinking that this is not a solution, but that whatever it is still a great relief. And I think, and why would Trump do that? Because of the public pressure, because people are demonstrating. 2 million people are demonstrating in America, and Netanyahu have no choice. Also, he's facing an internal rebellion, and the Western European countries are all one another recognizing Palestine. Again, the same group of elites just 1 year ago repeating this story about Israel have the right to defend itself. Hamas are killing babies and raping women and all this thing. Suddenly they shift. They shift because they are also concerned about their public support, because people are now now much more critical and putting pressure onto the government. Trump own base, the MAGA base, the ultra right in US are now increasingly very critical, and now they're exposing the IPAC's funding of politicians. Now under this exposure, and a lot of them are now no longer so blatantly trying to cohort with all these lobbyists. And then these are the result of public mobilization. So I'm in that sense, I'm quite a traditionalist. I'm just saying that we have to keep shouting, keep fighting, keep going to the streets, and Malaysian government, whichever government it is, including even one of them, those are autocratic, they finally will be fearful of the people when the people aware, embrace the truth, and start to demand the government to do the right thing. So I will go back to that. What would take the government to change? It will have to go back to the people's power, and we have to go back to educate them and ensure that the public is understanding the situation and demand the government to do the right thing.
All right, thank you, Tian Chua. So hopefully those who are viewing and watching the show tonight will be motivated to join our future protests, inshallah.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
we need to motivate people to say that it is not in vain. A lot of people now trying to say, oh yeah, whatever you demonstrate, nothing will change.
Yeah.
That's not true.
That's not true. Okay. Thank you, Tian Chua. I want to go to Walter now. You mentioned that even Leonardo's own workers in Italy have gone on strike to protest the company's role in Israel's war in Gaza. Now, can you please share with us the growing opposition inside Italy itself, and will Italy one day cut off its diplomatic relation with Israel? Do you think that's possible in the future?
If Italy will cut all the diplomatic ties with Israel, and this present Zionist government, it's hard to say. This present government definitely is not, it will never do that, because they are a very vocal sponsors of Zionism. They feel with Islamophobia. So they definitely they are not definitely the one that will stop any relationship with Israel, with the Zionism. But yes, you mentioned just now the workers of one of the factories in Italy, Leonardo factories in Italy, then went on strike and submit to Leonardo a petition asking them to stop immediately to sell weapons, to deal with weapons and whatever other deal sorry, with Israel. And what makes this particularly powerful is that this factory doesn't even produce weapons. They produce only civilian aircraft parts. But in that petition, the workers stated that something that I can read if you want is we are not directly involved, but as our salaries come from Leonardo, we do not want to collect money stained with blood. So you see, it's a very powerful message that they send to the corporation, because here we are not talking about people, we are not talking about closing offices, we are not talking about banning people to do business or whatsoever, but here we're just sending a strong message to the corporation, the system, to tell them stop supplying for the genocide, stop feeding the genocide. So so that was a very strong message, and it wasn't in Italy particularly. Just now Mr. Tianchua was mentioning about the power of the masses, the power of the people that protesting. In Italy, we had first, initially, our dock workers prevented ships from docking, ships loaded with weapons bound for Israel, and also force and investigate and find out ships, cargoes that were about to leave to Israel. They were carrying, shipping weapons, and they force the ship to unload the weapons and leave the weapons here on the quays and leave with the empty ship, with the empty cargo. And that was a very strong situation. And then that was connected with the flotilla, the Sumud, and they were following. They say, we are the land crew of the flotilla, and we are part of the flotilla. Even if we are here on the land, we are not sailing with them, and we are controlling them, we are monitoring them. And if they touch one of them, we will decide to block everything in Italy. So nothing, not even a needle will go through from the port, from the station, from the airport. We will block everything. And that they did. On the 2nd of October, we had, actually on the 3rd of October, we had a general strike under the slogan, we block everything, and that happened. We had hundreds of thousands of people, common people, from every walk of life that went to the street to protest, to march, and to block everything. And then on the next day, we had almost 2 million of people marching all over the country.
2 million.
2 million.
2 million. Oh, wow.
Marching all over the country. There were workers, students, trade union, pacifist movements, and everyone was protesting about our government complicity with Israel. And it's true what it is absolutely true what Mr. Tianchua is saying. A few days later, actually 1 or 2 days later, after whining about all the violence that happened during these demonstrations, the government decided to open a small window by saying, under certain condition, we also might recognize the state of Palestine, and we are supporting the resolution, the deal, the agreement, the Trump's agreement for the peace and the ceasefire. So you see that pressure mounted, and that they felt the presence of the people there, and they understood that the people was really angry, was disappointed, was tired, and of seeing children dying on streaming, you know, and that was and that probably, as Mr. Tianchua rightfully say, it scares the power the most. This is what
Okay.
scares the power the most.
Thank you, Walter. Hopefully, this momentum can be sustained in Europe so that
Hopefully.
we will see changes in the government policies, especially in Italy.
We should not believe that this ceasefire, which is actually not even a ceasefire, a real ceasefire, because Israel is continuing to kill people and do whatever they want. And moreover, this peace deal, so-called peace deal, is distracting from the annexation of the West Bank.
Yeah.
It's ongoing.
All right.
And actually,
That's right.
It's speeding up, and so we have to be more and more and more present, more and more attentive, and more vocals. It's not the time. I mean, we don't have to take that just because the bombs are not falling, the guns are not firing. Everything is done, and this is actually what the Zionists and their goonies want us to believe, because they want to reset the end of time at the 6th of October 2023 and tell everybody, okay, it's back to normal, back to as usual, business as usual. We can continue with the apartheid, we can continue with the killings, we can continue with the colonialism and so forth.
Okay, thank you, Walter. So I want Saul and also Tianchua to follow up on that just now. This issue of the peace deal. Some might mistakenly think that we have a peace deal now, because in my Facebook also somebody said, why are you still very noisy? There's a peace deal now. It's already over now. Things are going to improve in the future. So stop being so vocal, etc., etc. So Saul and then Tianchua, what's your response to those people who say that this issue no longer matters because we have a peace deal now brokered by Trump?
Sure,
Saul?
sure. Well, yeah, thank you. I mean, look, Walter has already said it. I mean, it's not a peace deal. It's a deal which aims at further colonization and control of the Palestinian people. It's a deal which completely, of course, ignores the West Bank and all the stuff that, all the terrible stuff that Israel has been doing and continues to do and is trying to do in the West Bank, i.e., you know, de jure annexation, which is what they've, you know, this bill in the Israeli parliament is already moving forward. So it's not a peace. I mean, it's probably better than what Trump was saying in February. But the general goal appears to be the same, that he is on the chairman of the board of this board of peace, that the high commissioner of the new American colony of Palestine is going to be, of all people in the world, Tony Blair. I mean, you can't imagine, how could you even, you know, you can't choose a worse candidate. Well, I guess in, you know, Washington, D.C., I guess there would be bunches of worse candidates, but still, I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, how could anybody in their right mind think that this would work? And it just goes to show the extent to which they ignore Palestinian self-determination. They have no respect or even inclination of what Palestinian views are. You know, I'm sort of reminded of Balfour. You know, in the letter to the prime minister of the time, he was talking about, you know, after the declaration, I think this was 1919, but it was after the declaration, and he said, you know, we're not even going to pretend to ask the natives what they're, you know, what they want. Why should we even bother? I mean, you know, they're just natives. We're not even gonna go through the motions of asking them. We're not gonna bother. They are insignificant. They don't count. You know, it's the deal we cut with the Zionists. This is what it's about. And, you know, it really sort of it really reminds me of that. So, you know, already as Chen Chua has already said, you know, it hasn't been a ceasefire. The usual commentator on Al Jazeera just earlier today was saying that it was, you know, the Palestinians cease and the Israelis continue to fire. So they continue to, yeah, you know, it's you can't help but laugh. I mean, as terrible as it is, but you know, the Israelis, you know, continue to massacre innocent civilians. I mean, you know, nothing's changed there. The pace has gone down a little bit, sure. And if we, you know, if the quote unquote ceasefire that they have with Lebanon is any indication, well, you know, it's just going to be the usual stuff that they bomb people, they kill people, they massacre people whenever they feel like it, with you know, American partnership. So, you know, how long this is going to last, I don't know. Obviously, as you know, as both of you have said, I mean, obviously it's positive that people aren't being massacred in the hundreds and thousands every day now. So that is a positive sign, and inshallah, we must hope that you know, it will lead to something, but it has to lead to something, because if it doesn't lead to something, and that something is, you know, justice for Palestinians and Palestinian self-determination, if it doesn't lead to that, then it's not going to last that long. Let's just hope.
Thank you, Sol. Okay, Chen Chua, you have only 1 minute for
I
you to
think
last
I think
comment.
we don't need to repeat that this is a fake ceasefire, and the whole point is I don't think the people who broker it has intention to solve anything. I think this basically why it's in a rush, because I want to repeat, they were under pressure. Netanyahu need to show that he can bring back hostages, and well, probably Trump is in the hurry to trying to get a Nobel Prize in that afternoon. There's the reason. But whatever it is, I want to go back to the point. The limited achievement of a temporary succession, a limited succession of mass killing, is the victory of the people. And we need to do more. We need to keep pressuring, and we need to make sure that these people who are for war don't get away with their crime. That's what I would say.
All right, thank you very much to all of you. So the last point, there were many points discussed, I suppose, but the most important point is we need to do more in order to stop the injustice in Palestine.
Don't forget
Thank you.
Sunday,
okay,
9
for
o'clock
Malaysians.
in the morning, we meet at Ampang Park, Kuala Lumpur.
We have a protest, big protest in Ampang Park, Kuala Lumpur. On Sunday, when Trump arrives in Kuala Lumpur, we are going to have a big protest. Hopefully, many Malaysians will turn up. Please bring your friends and family members to show that we are very serious about calling for justice in Palestine. Thank you again to everyone.
Great.
Thank you again.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, bye.